Right now, as you watch this, someone, somewhere is achieving something extraordinary, not because they're lucky, not because they're special, but because they understand something most people don't. What if I told you that achievement isn't about talent, that success isn't about IQ, that everything you've been told about reaching your goals might be incomplete? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover will change how you see your own potential forever.
Act 1. The Achievement Paradox. Let me start with a question that haunted psychologist Carol Dweck for decades. Why do some people thrive in the face of challenge while others crumble? In 1978, Dweck began studying children solving puzzles. What she discovered would revolutionize our understanding of human achievement. She found that when faced with impossible puzzles, some children said, "I love a challenge." Others said, "I'm not good at this." Same puzzle, same difficulty, completely different responses. But here's where it gets fascinating. When Dweck put these children in an MRI machine decades later, she discovered something shocking. Their brains were literally wired differently, not because they were born that way, but because of how they thought about challenge. The children who embraced difficulty showed massive neural activity in learning centers. Their brains were on fire with possibility. The others? Their brains practically shut down. Dramatic pause. This is what scientists call neuroplasticity. Your brain physically restructures itself based on your beliefs about your own potential. Think about that. Your thoughts don't just influence your behavior, they reshape your brain's architecture. This discovery revealed something profound. Achievement isn't a destination, it's a biological process, and you control the switch. Act 2. The compound effect. But understanding neuroplasticity is just the beginning, because there's a second force at play, and it's even more powerful. James Clear, author and habits researcher, studied Olympic athletes, award-winning artists, and business leaders for years. He discovered what he calls the aggregation of marginal gains. Here's the math that will blow your mind. If you improve by just 1% every single day for 1 year, you don't improve by 365%. You improve by 3,778%. Why? Because of compounding. Each day's improvement builds on the last. British cycling proved this in the real world. When Dave Brailsford became performance director in 2003, British cyclists had won almost nothing in a century. Brailsford implemented tiny improvements: better bike seats, improved hand washing to reduce illness, heated indoor shorts for optimal muscle temperature. Individually, each change was almost meaningless. Together, 5 years later, British cyclists dominated the Olympics. They won 60% of gold medals in Beijing, then broke world records, then won the Tour de France. But here's what most people miss. The compound effect works invisibly for months before exploding into view. Think of an ice cube sitting in a room. The temperature rises from 25 to 26 degrees. Nothing happens. 26 to 27, still frozen. 28, 29, 30 degrees, still ice. Then 32 degrees. Suddenly, everything changes. The ice begins to melt. That moment when the ice melts, that's not when change happens. That's when change becomes visible. The real transformation was occurring the entire time, degree by degree, invisible to the eye. Your achievements work exactly the same way.
Act 3. The Dark Valley. Now, I need to tell you something uncomfortable, something most motivational speakers won't admit. There's a valley. a dark, brutal valley that every achiever must cross, and it's where most dreams go to die. Psychologist Angela Duckworth calls it the dip. Seth Godin calls it the valley of disappointment. Whatever you call it, it's real, and it's waiting for you. Here's what happens. You start something new. You're excited, motivated. You make progress. It feels amazing. Then reality hits. Progress slows, results plateau. The initial excitement fades. You're putting in more effort but seeing less return. This is when 92% of people quit. But research from Stanford's Behavior Design Lab reveals something crucial. The valley isn't a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're exactly where you need to be. When you lift weights, your muscles don't grow during the workout. They grow during recovery, when microscopic tears repair themselves stronger than before. Achievement works identically. The valley is where the tearing happens. The growth comes after, but only if you stay. Marathon runners call mile 20 the wall. It's where your body depletes its glycogen stores and your brain screams at you to stop. Neuroscience shows that this isn't physical failure, it's your brain's protection mechanism trying to save energy. But here's the secret every champion knows. The wall isn't real. It's a hallucination created by ancient survival circuits in your brain. When you push through, something remarkable happens. Your body releases endorphins and endocannabinoids, your brain's natural drugs. You enter what runners call the second wind. The pain doesn't disappear. You just stop caring about it. Every meaningful achievement has a mile 20, a moment where everything in you screams quit. What you do in that moment defines everything. Act 4, the proximity principle. But you don't have to face the valley alone. In fact, you can't. Not if you want to reach the highest levels of achievement. Harvard conducted a 75-year study tracking people from adolescence through their entire lives. They measured everything: income, health, happiness, achievement. Want to know the #1 predictor of achievement and fulfillment? Not IQ, not socioeconomic status, not even education. Relationships. But not just any relationships. Psychologist Jim Rohn discovered something specific. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Neuroscientist Matthew Lieberman at UCLA found the biological mechanism. When you observe someone's behavior, mirror neurons in your brain fire as if you're performing that action. Your brain literally simulates their experience. This is why emotions are contagious, why excellence is contagious, why mediocrity is contagious. A study tracking 12,000 people over 32 years found that if your friend becomes obese, your risk increases by 57%. Not because you're eating the same food, but because your brain normalizes their behavior patterns. But it works both ways. Olympic training centers don't separate elite athletes because they're special. They bring them together because excellence compounds in proximity. Silicon Valley doesn't produce more unicorn companies because of the weather. It's because founders are surrounded by other people attempting the impossible. If you want to achieve something extraordinary, stop asking, "How do I do this?" Start asking, "Who's already doing this?" Then put yourself in their orbit. Your environment isn't just where you practice achievement, it's where your brain learns what's possible. Act 5, the identity shift. Now we arrive at the final piece, the one that ties everything together. Most people approach achievement backwards. They think, if I achieve X, then I'll become Y. If I lose 30 pounds, then I'll be a healthy person. If I build a successful business, then I'll be an entrepreneur. If I write a book, then I'll be a writer. But psychological research reveals the opposite is true. James Clear's research shows that lasting change comes from identity shifts, not outcome goals. You don't become a writer by publishing a book. You publish a book because you've become a writer. The identity comes first. The achievement follows. Here's why. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system, a filter that determines what information reaches your conscious awareness. When you identify as someone, your RAS filters reality to match that identity. A person who identifies as trying to quit smoking sees cigarettes everywhere and feels deprived. A person who identifies as a non-smoker doesn't even notice them. Same reality, different filter. Olympic gold medalist Michael Phelps didn't train to become a champion swimmer. He trained because he was a champion swimmer. Can you feel the difference? So here's the question that changes everything. Who do you need to become to achieve what you want? Not what do you need to do? Who do you need to be? Because every action you take is a vote for the type of person you're becoming. Each workout is a vote for athlete. Each page written is a vote for author. Each kind act is a vote for good person. You don't need a radical transformation. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need more time or more talent. You need to cast enough votes that your identity shifts. And when it does, achievement becomes inevitable. Closing. Let's bring it all together. Your brain rewires itself based on your beliefs about challenge. That's neuroplasticity. Small improvements compound into extraordinary results. That's the aggregation of marginal gains. The valley where you want to quit is exactly where growth happens. That's the dip. Your environment shapes your potential more than your willpower ever could. That's the proximity principle. And lasting achievement comes from becoming the person who achieves, not from achieving to become that person. That's the identity shift. 5 principles, 5 scientific truths, 1 formula for breakthrough achievement. Here's what I know about you. You wouldn't still be watching if you were satisfied with where you are. Something in you is hungry for more. Something in you knows you're capable of something greater. That instinct, trust it. Because right now, in this moment, you're standing at the base of your own mountain. The summit is hidden in clouds. The path looks impossible. Every voice in your head is telling you to stay where it's safe. But you know what? Someone's already climbing, right now, with fewer advantages than you have, with more obstacles in their way. And they're winning, not because they're special, because they started. So here's my challenge to you. Close this video. Take 1 action, just 1, toward the person you're becoming. Not tomorrow, today, right now. Because the only difference between who you are and who you want to be is what you do next. Your breakthrough is waiting. Go claim it.